Hi guys, Togri here with a new video, and this video will be a content overview for 10.0.7. We have the official patch notes. Everything is set in stone. I don't think they will change anything up to the actual patch, which is next week, March 21 Tuesday or March 22 for the EU crowd, which is me and other Europeans. It will be Wednesday, and we're going to make a quick patch overview about it and also talk about the class changes, give a bit of an opinion with all those changes and where I'm excited about and where I'm not excited about. But overall, I think 10.7 will be a great patch for Dragonflight because we have a few great things. I'm going to gloss over the PvE changes really fast, but again, a PvP channel, so we're going to set our focus towards PvP changes. So, return to the Forbidden Reach, basically a new zone where you can do new bosses, objectives, whatever. All those things are quite neat, I guess. If you're liking PvE, you get some heritage armor sets for humans and orcs are going to be neat as well for some great transmog, so I'm going to do that for sure, especially for human. We have the Mon class expands to new races, so you can have new races here and there, and new quests for Bane Search, and we have Recruit a Friend refresh, all good and well. But now let's talk about the class changes. That's the most important thing, right? So let's see if it's going to be correct. So let's talk about the class changes. I think it's better if I do it like the other way. Let's see. Can I do that like this? I think it's better like this. It's more neat in blue than in like orange. So I'm going to talk about it on this website. So we have a Death Knight semi rework. At least the spec tree is going to be a lot more different. I'm going to show you guys the spec tree as well while we are talking, because I think it's also very valuable to have a indication how it will be going into 10.7. So the class tree is going to be like this. Basically, Remorseless Winter is going to be baseline. So now Biting Cold is a bit higher on the tree, so you don't really need to go to the right side, except if you want really chill streak or make a Remorseless Winter damage dealing spec, which is also a option, I guess, for BGs and such. But I think in arenas you will go for a heavy left side into the Frost Strike talents, and you have also Fatal Fixation now, so you can actually stack killing machines up to 2 times. So you don't really need to do a Frost Strike into a Killing Machine proc, Obliterate, then a Frost Strike again, or a Howling Blast Rhyme proc, for example. Now you can basically do 2 Frost Strikes, or 1 Frost Strike, 1 Rhyme proc, and then have 2 Obliterates back to back, which could be very interesting for setting up like kill potentials, right? So I think it's quite cool. Those are the main changes for Frost Decay. So basically, Remorseless Winter is going to be learned at level 19. Might of the Frozen Waste, which is the 30% increased damage on two-handed obliterate damage, and that it will crit, I think. So every time you're critting with your melee strikes, you're going to get Killing Machine procs. That is the passive that you will get learned at level 25, which is quite nice. Frost Reaper is basically the talents that you're going to get frost damage on your Killing Machines procs for Obliterate, so that's also very good for your mastery. And now you have like a few new talents here and there, and also you can now play with Soul Reaper, and I wonder if it's going to be good. I want to test it. I think I'm very excited for Frost Decay in general, but they do miss a few things. Again, Pillar of Frost is still too important for the tree to make sense in PvP. But if one day they can step aside and go a bit more into the consistent damage department, it could be very nice. Also, there is a big problem in 10.1 where they nerf crit damage as a like whole thing. So I hope they actually have a contingency plan for Frost Decay to actually still be very, like, not very good, but at least as good as right now. It is not very good at the moment, but if the changes are going through and DKs don't get changed beforehand, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it will be D tier if they're not changing anything regarding crit for Frost Decay. Frost damage, actually, more damage. I think frost strike damage is going to be quite nice. We'll have to see what we can do there. Unholy DK's got a few changes here and there too, so I'm going to show you guys as well. I'm a very visual guy, right? So I want to have a bit of a visualization. Now we have Defile at the left side of the tree. We have Epidemic and Unholy Blight actually switched out. Like they swapped places. We have Harbinger of Doom actually getting 20% increased damage on Death Coil, and it will actually be very nice because you have a lot of actual modifiers on Death Coil, so it will hit for quite a while, for quite a lot, which is quite nice. Rotten Touch is also quite nice, since now you will have a 10-second window to do more damage with Clawing Shadows or Score Strike, more likely with Score Strike. You have also now a Commander of the Dead going to be much more easier to use as Unholy Decay. So basically, whenever you're going to use your Gargoyle in your Army of the Dead, and then you're going to use Dark Transformation, it will always transform the Gargoyle in the Army of the Dead, or at least buff them. And if you're using Dark Transformation before and then Gargoyle and Arm of the Dead, it's still going to work. So it's still going to be quite nice to use. It will be a quality of life change, a lot better and a lot more consistent, which is quite nice as well. Overall, there's not many things that is going to change for the PvP side of things, so I think it's a very, very good thing for Unholy Decay. I think this is going to be very good. So the Defile actually giving you 1% mastery every second, stacking up to 8%, is going to actually give you more damage. Feasting Strike now also have a 15% chance to grant Runic Corruption. I think it's also quite nice as well. Festering Sight, I think it's a miswrote spell right now, but still. And just in general, I think it's going to be quite nice as well. Demon Hunter's getting nerfed, by the way, on Blind Fury. So now it will increase 10% to 20% on damage and duration on I-Beam. It was 25-50%. And we have improved Fell Rush, and the choice node of Desperate Instinction and Dinderwalk have swapped location in the specialization tree. And Furious Throw and Fell Eruption have swapped locations in the specialization tree. So basically, they're swapping it to make it a lot more likely to take those talents before the first gate. It will be a lot less expensive, and overall it will not change the actual builds, but it will make it more likely that you're taking it. Vengeance, reduce the health of Feather Flame demons by 20%. We don't care about that. There is a pretty substantial buff here with Protector of the Pack's cap now restores 400% of the Druid spell power for Balanced Druid, Feral Druid, and Guardian Druid, which means more healing. So the damage you're going to store is going to do a big regrowth on yourself, for example, which is quite nice as well for sustaining it, and more damage on the restoration side of things, so 60% more. So I think it's going to be quite nice. We will have to see how it will change overall, but I think it's a good buff. Balanced Druid is getting a big buff with Stellar Flare. Now has an additional effect if Dispelled causes a Starburst to crush into the Dispeller, dealing damage and knocking them back. Very big, man. I think this is going to make Balanced Druid much more stronger. You will see them probably higher in the tier list. I will make a tier list tomorrow. With my prediction tier list for 10.0.7, I think Balanced Druid is going to be pretty nasty, guys. Pretty nasty. Feral Druid, Merciless Claws now increases the damage of Swipe and Brutal Slash by 15%. It was 10%. There is a nerf on Berserk Frenzy. Now it will bleed for 100% of the damage dealt instead of 125%. And Shred, Swipe, Brutal Slash, and Trash damage increased by 6%. Overall, I think it's a consistent damage buff and a nerf on the Berserk part of the things. I don't know if it's going to be very noticeable. It could be something that you're not going to notice in the games, but I think the burst will be a bit less impressive with Berserk, which is a shame, I guess. Guardian Druid getting changed. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry, Guardian Druids. I don't think it's something for PvP. It's mostly for PvE. Restoration Druid. So our goals with restoration changes are to increase the effectiveness of some underutilized talents and open new talent combinations that were previously difficult to reach. So now you have a few new talents, which is Tranquil Mind, increases Omen of Clarity chance to activate clear casting to 5%, and clear casting can stack 1 additional time. It could be very nice because I think whenever you're clear casting, you're going to heal more on regrowth, if I'm not mistaken. Deep Focus now is coming back from Shadowlands, a legendary. It was very fun to play. And now when Moonfire, Rake, Rip, or Rejuvenation are active on a single target, their effects are increased by 40%. And that's going to be very nasty in twos. I think in twos you're going to be playing a bit more aggressive. I don't think in threes you're going to play that. I think it's a bit of a shame, but again, you don't want to have only one rejuve on one target. You want to have like some spread healing, because people can just switch and kill and murder your allies. So I think this talent will have some place in twos, maybe threes depending on the situations, but I think it's still going to be the better talent for twos in general. Embrace of the Dream now also triggers on targets with the regrowth heal over time effect. I don't know this talent, I'm very sorry. Regenerative Heartwood now also extends the duration of Iron Bark by 4 seconds. I think that's very good in general. Improved Wild Growth has moved to a new location one slot to the right, and we're going to see right away, because I think, again, if you have some visualization, it's going to be a bit better. So we have, oh, that's unfortunate, we have Circle of Life and Death and Deep Focus like as a choice node. I think that's quite of a sad thing. We also have where is Overgrowth? Where is Overgrowth going? We have Overgrowth here. I guess it's still easy to get. I think the talents are alright. I think the talents are alright. Now you have like Tranquil Mind here on the right side. You have here Improved Wild Growth on the right side as well, which is a node pretty easily taken because of Iron Bark. But pretty much Wild Growth is not something you're going to go for in arenas in general. But I think you have some good options. Again, Nourish, I think there is a way where you can play that. But I think the main problem is it's a 2-second cast, so I don't know. Here you can reduce the cast time of your next Nourish, but it causes it to receive an additional 33% bonus, stacks up to 3 times. Ah, that could be very nice actually. So you can have some instant Nourishes, especially since you are like in a tree form. I'm going to probably do a bit of Resto Druid on stream or on my videos, because I really am interested in that fact. But let's do this. Let's try to make like Resto Druid a bit more aggressive. I would like to see them actually go for a more aggressive road for Resto Druids, but we'll see. Cultivation has moved to improved Wild Growth's previous location. Nourish has moved to cultivation previous location. So we're moving Nourish, so it's associated talents into a place within the talent tree that leads into other abilities, with the goal of not impacting the pathing of other builds that would prefer to skip it. So basically you can really skip Nourish if you really do not want to play with Nourish. Yeah, there's no way to be forced into Nourish if you don't want to play that. So I think that's quite nice. Tranquil Mind occupies Nourish previous location. Choice node has moved to a new location directly below Nourish, so that's the improvement on Nourish. Embrace of the Dream and Budding Leaves has swapped locations. So there's a lot of swapping locations, so I would recommend you guys to watch the actual spec tree and see what is different and what is good, and what is going to be preferred for you guys to actually play around it. I think it's going to be quite fun. Unfortunately, this is quite not bad. I think if you can actually do Deep Focus and Circle of Life of Death in Death, it would be maybe a bit OP, but it would be fun to play around it. But anyways, no problem. Evoker, we've seen Devastation have difficulties recovering from burst damage, so they are going to give you basically some survivability. So this is pretty much like quality of life change. Now know the aerial halt ability like dragon riding drakes that allows them to significantly reduce their forward movement. Draconic Legacy now increases stamina by 3% to 6%, so it will have more stamina. Pochi of Life has been redesigned. Renewing Blaze restores you more quickly, causing damage you take to be healed back over 4 seconds. That is actually very strong in PvP, by the way. This is going to be very strong. This is going to be very strong. Ancient Flames has been redesigned. Casting Emerald Blossom and or Verdant Embrace reduces the cost of your next Living Flame by 40%. Quite nice as well. Ancient Flame has been moved to Roar of Acceleration location to in the talent tree. Roar of Acceleration has been removed. I don't know what it is, this thing. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. Verdant Embrace healing increased by 35% for devastation, so you will have some healing. Preservation will have some changes as well. Ouroboros has been redesigned. Casting Echo increases the healing of your next Emerald Blossom by 30%, stacking up to 5 times. Fluttering Seedlings healing increased by 20%. Temporal Anomaly absorption value reduced by 20%. That's a nerf. Resonating Spheres now apply Echo to the first 4 allies hit. That's also a nerf, but that's probably for PvE or RBGs. Temporal compressions can now be gained from casting tip to skills. I don't know if it's going to be... I think it's good. I think this is strong, no? From casting tip the scales. So I think it's like an added thing. Empowered spells cast with tip the scales no longer consume stacks of temporal compression. I think that's strong. When Life Bind is applied through a lower value echo with temporal anomaly, its healing value is reduced to match the value of the echo. And the same for the golden hour. Overall, I think preservation is actually in the right spot. The main problem is Disc Priest, I think, because they can really dispel all their hots, and it's actually very hard to recover from that. But I think if you can play Evoker to the best possibility ever, you can really do some damage in 3s. I think in 2s you have some difficulties because it is more you versus him kind of situation versus Disc Priest, but I think 2s is very unbalanced right now, so I hope they can change something. But you will see some great PvP changes after those changes real quick. So they did nerf and buff Hansa. I'm going to not read that because this is for the PvE side of things. Death Chakram damage increased by 100%. So that's actually very strong. You think that Death Chakrams is not like doing a lot of damage, but this is going to be pretty nasty. You should also remember that Death Chakrams is going to be even stronger on Marksmanship Hunter because you have Mastery, and you're going to probably shred some people by just doing a Death Chakrams. And every time that it's going to deal damage, it is going to be increased by 15%. So again, it is going to be pretty strong. Like even single target, just in general, is going to be quite nasty. I wish Stampede was something interesting to cast, but a 2-minute CD for this amount of damage is quite bad indeed. I wish it was like a 1-minute CD. That would be like competitive with the Chakrams, but it is what it is. Serpent Sting damage increased by 25%. I think it can be very nice to play like a Serpent Sting build, but the problem is you have to give up like probably Steel Trap to make it work, or you have to give up something, right? You for sure the left side is like locked for PBM. You need to play with the left side, and if you want to go right side, you will have to spend 2 points here, 2 points there, so it's already 4 points. This is 5 points. You're gonna spend 1 point in Serpent Sting. You will only have 1 point in serrated shots, which is probably not the play. And you also need Death Chakram, so I'm counting even a bit less points than normal. That this is 6 points and this is 5 points. So basically you will not play with Poison Injection and you will not play with serrated shots, which is a no-go because again, Barb Shot is so strong that you cannot avoid it. Rejuvenating Winds is quite nice now. You get like maximum health, so you will have a bit more health to play in PvP. Beast Mastery gets buffed on Cobra Shots, but only for PvE. Kill Command is buffed by 10%, so it's going to be even more nasty. Bob Shot is going to get increased, but only in PvE. Stomp damage is actually increased by 25%. That is quite nice as well. You're going to notice it. I think the stomp damage is going to be pretty nasty. Kill Cleave, I think that's PvE. It will do 10% more damage transfers. So I think it's quite nice. Doesn't get really changed in PvE. You have some few talent connections have been adjusted. Instead of focus and tactical reload have swapped spots back to their pre 10.0.5 changes. I'm going to show you guys the change pretty much. So you have tactical reload now on the right side, and you have to put steady focus points into for getting true shot, which is a bit annoying because Now what you have to do is probably just skip steady focus and have to play with volley. And the problem is, if you have to play volley, you are most likely going to play with salvo, and it will just be a bit more boring because you only have like one streamline build to go for. I wish Lone Wolf was somewhere else, because I think Hunter's Knowledge is quite nice, but if you always have to take Lone Wolf, and Lone Wolf is something that is not going to be used, maybe except in the start of the match, where you don't really need a pet, but over time in the match you're going to call out your pet for the sack, but also for the intimidation trap, the intimidation stun. So you will not play with Lone Wolf very long. So I think it's a very boring talent. They should just put it as a passive. I don't know. I feel like that's a talent that you should probably make it baseline for hunters in general. Monks, so they get a few buffs. I do not know much about like the casting mistweaver, but this is a buff to casting mistweaver in general. Legacy of the Wisdom is a new talent. Shadowlands gift heals 2 additional allies, and its cast time is reduced by 0.5 seconds. So it will be a lot easier to cast Shadowlands gift, which is a big heal, by the way. Healing increased by 20% again, and now triggers mastery exclusively only onto its primary target. So I think it's gonna be very good. Shadowlands gift clouds now resets upon raid bosses and encounters and mythic plus starts. So that's good for PvE, I guess. Shadowlands lessons, listen of fear, now increases haste by 20%, so that's a nerf. Shadowlands lessons now displays a tracking buff. Okay. Tenor's focus T, that's the biggest buff that everyone is talking about. Now causes enveloping mist to become instant cast in addition to its current effects. So you will not have to cast Soothing Mist to have it in instant cast. So basically you can have a panic heal at all times. That's actually very good. I think it's going to be very nasty as well. Even more nasty for Mistweavers, because it can basically just do Tenor Focus T, Enveloping Mist, and it's going to be some pretty good healing, and then you can just start with your rotation to do some big damage and healing at the same time. I think for the casting, Mistweaver is going to be obviously a lot better. Zen Pulse no longer requires an enemy to be present to be cast. I think nobody's really playing that in Arena, I think. Maybe I'm like wrong, but I don't see a lot of Zen Pulse damage. Fix an issue that causes Zen Pulse to not function within in-game mouse over settings. Alright. Enveloping Breath has been renamed to Celestial Harmony. Now has an additional effect. When activated, Yulon and Shishi apply Shi Cocoons to 5 targets within 40 yards, absorbing damage for 10 seconds. I think that's quite strong. I'm going to see real quick, because again, I don't want to make like mistakes. So you will have like some healing from Yulon and Shishi, and you will for sure play with that because you need to take the points to get a Gift of the Celestials. But this is going to be very strong, I think. If it's like a big absorb, I don't know how much it's going to be, but it's total health times like 10%, so it's going to be not like 1/10, so it will be less than, it will only be 10% of the total health basically, which is quite nice actually, since it's a passive, it's extra, and it's going to be some good healing and some good absorption, so I think that's going to be pretty noticeable. Heal over time is not visible on raid frames. Cool. Enveloping Mist healing increased by 10%, so it's going to be even more nasty. Applied by Misty Peaks may now be extended by Rising Mist up to 2 additional seconds, was 6 seconds. That is a nerf. That is a big nerf for Fistweavers. Very big. I think that's a nerf. I think for, is it for Mistweaver or Fistweavers? I don't know. I don't know actually. I think it's in like here. Renew Mist heal over time effect has a 5% chance to proc Enveloping Mist for 2 seconds. That's a nerf. I think you will not play that anymore. I think you're not going to play that anymore. Or maybe it's just the same. You just need to have Rising Mist. I don't know. We'll have to see. Windwalkers have some changes. Inner Peace maximum energy bonus is increased to 30 instead of 10. Inner Peace now also increases the damage on target palm. Unfortunately, target palm is never going to be used for damage. It's only for the mastery part and for the crit part that you're going to get from the talents. Rising Star now also increases the Rising Sun kick damage by 3 to 6%. That's a nerf, but you get more damage on critical strike damage, and something that you're always going to do is crit. So I think it's going to be an overall buff for windwalkers. So rejoice, you're going to do even more damage. Bayline's harmony damage and healing bonus increased to 10% instead of 8%. 2%, I think it's going to be noticeable, or maybe not. I don't know. 2% is way too low, I think, to be noticed. Sky Touch, so now you don't have a leap anymore, so that's good for PvE. I think you're going to still play with Sky Reachers with PvP, because you always have like a mobility option with Tiger Palm, and right now with Sky Touch you will not have, so that's an option for you if you're playing PvE. So this is the Paladin rework. I'm going to make a separate video for that. It's way too long. I'm going to make a 1-hour video if I change everything. But TLDR, Paladins gets a rework on mobility, on survivability, on damage, how they do damage, and how they do burst. Overall, you will have a 1-minute CD wings, which is pretty good. You'll have more damage on your builders, more damage on your spenders. You will have some more self-heal capacities, which is also quite nice. You will have some mobility nerfs and buffs, because freedom will be dispellable, like regardless with unbound freedom or not. And your charge, so your mounting ability, will be off GCD. So basically you can have a macro freedom and charger to actually go onto your enemies, but the main problem is it can be dispelled, so a mage can still like steal it from you or whatever. So again, it's not as dramatic because people don't spam dispel versus a paladin anyways. They could do that, but often what they can do is just run away and try to use mobility to run away instead of sticking to them. So I think it's going to be all right. Overall, I think the paladin will be more stronger than ever. They did get nerfed on the PTR, but still, I think overall you're going to be more stronger with this patch than with previous patch. I think it's also going to be more fun, but I'm going to make a separate video about it and give an insight about all the changes with the spec tree, because I think they are quite done with the actual spec tree. And that's the class tree, by the way. Class tree is also a lot of changes. The spec tree is even more. So you have other buttons, stacking modifiers, survivability and maneuverability, and just in general you will have a lot better synchronization with your actual spells and talents. So I think it's going to be pretty nice. I think this one is quite nice. Tempered strikes, a 2-part combo that deals increased damage with each strike. I think that's going to be quite fun if it's actually strong. Again, I think overall some things are nerfed, some things are buffed, but I think overall you're going to have more fun with this version than with previous version. We have some nerfs to Disc Priest. So Dispel Magic now costs 2% instead of 1.6%. Woo! And fix an issue causing Divine Star and Halo healing to not be increased from Shadow Covenant, which is a bug fix. We have Holy, which basically those are PvE changes. You're not going to notice it in PvP, or at least that's what I'm reading from the priest discords. I want to give a try to Holy Priest, but I think as long as the damage is not interesting as, for example, like Disc Priest, I think Holy Priest will always be an afterthought, because they don't have the damage reduction abilities, like for example Pain Suppression or Dome, and a Holy Priest will always have some difficulties with dampening, like fast dampening games. Shadow Priest, that's an overall nerf, so yeah, you will deal less damage, you will have less missiles on your Void Eruption, so that's quite bad. But we have Shamans, quite of a big rework, but TLDR, you have talents that is going to switch and to be more interesting for Shamans. I'm going to show you guys really quickly. I'm going to do Enhancement Shaman here. Basically, Ancestral Guidance is a lot easier to get because you always have Thunderstorm in PvP. There's no reason to not take it. You have also light lasso, and you don't have the talent points for lightning bolt anymore because now it is baseline 20% damage increase. So that's very good. So you have those 2 points that can be spent elsewhere. You have Ninja Swiftness, a bit more difficult to get. I think Elemental Shamans might still get it because you do want Spirit Walker's Aegis, but I think Enhancement Shaman, you will never take Ninja Swiftness ever again. You were already not taking it, but now it's like for sure not going to be an option for you. Healing Stream Totem will heal for a bit more, but overall Swirling Currents is like reworked, so you will not do increased healing on your Healing Surge with it. So it's an overall nerf for Enhancement Shaman in general. You have Brimming with Life, which is a very easy talent now to take to just get 8% increased health in arenas. Very nice. You also have Creator's Purge, Frost Shock, and you have also increased duration, like baseline on Astral Shift. It will be 12 seconds and not 8 seconds anymore. Now you have an option to either reduce DCD or reduce even more damage. I think in Soul Shuffle, reducing even more damage is probably the play because the games are very fast. I think Astral Bulwark will have more play than Plains Traveler now. And also they reworked Thunderous Paws. Now you have a Thunderous Paws buff every 20 seconds. I think it's quite nice for Enhancement Shaman as well. And then you have also Earth Elemental quite easily taken now. It's like changed position, but you will have to take Shin Heal to get Earth Shield, so that's a very bad change for Enhancement Shaman because this is never going to be useful. The healing is quite bad and it's not going to be very good. So you will regardless lose one point by spending there. And in general, you will see that the talent trees are going to be better, but you will see that you will have to spend some points on things that you really don't want. If you want Cleanse Spirits, too bad, you will have to get Healing Stream Totem. And Healing Stream Totem does heal for a lot, but it's broken pretty easily, and it's a alright heal. It's not like fantastic heal, right? But I think it may be good, to be honest. Like it's a 47% of spell power every 2 seconds. So basically every 8 seconds you will have some pretty good heal. A bit less than Healing Surge, but still a pretty good heal, I think. But it depends on about you if you really want to spend 3 points to get some good passive healing. But in general, you will have a lot easier time to go with the flow, and it's also buffed, so it's going to be pretty good as well. So now let's talk about the changes real quick. Earth Shield healing increased by 60%. It's going to be quite nice for Enhancement Shaman as well. Now, issues from Elemental Orbit to not increase the healing done by Healing Stream Totem or Healing Tide Totem. Earth Shield is not longer to be removed whenever you're changing talents, so that's quite nice because it was very annoying. Go with the Flow is getting buffed, so now you have 20 seconds on Spirit Walk, so we will have 40 seconds Spirit Walk, so I think it's going to be very nice as well. Thunderous Paws is now going to be 20 seconds instead of 60 seconds, so it's going to be also very nice. Poison Cleansing Totem now removes all poison effects from the target. It's going to be nice, but again, actually, it's going to be nice if you're putting it and you're versus an assassination rogue. They have to break it before they can actually do some good damage. I think that's alright, since I think the wounding poison is affected by that and mind numbing and such. So maybe that's the play versus them if you're Elemental Shaman. Enfeeblement, nice, but I don't know if you're going to spend that extra point for that. Swirling Currents, that is the rework I'm talking about Healing Stream Totem. I don't know if you're going to ever go for that, but it might be good if you actually like the heal from the Healing Stream Totem. Fix an issue causing totemic projection to sometimes fail to move totems. That is a big buff because sometimes whenever I want to do that with the static field totem and it doesn't move, I'm very sad. Several towns have been moving positions in the class tree, like I said. Ancestral Wolf Affinity will be removed, has been moved to the class tree and removed from all specialization trees, so that's actually very nice. And Focus Insight will go back to enhanced and elemental specialization trees. Thunderstorm has been moved to improved lightning bolt position, like I said, and overall I think that's a big buff to the class tree. But I think the one change about Healing Stream Totem is kind of dooming the Restoration Shaman, but we will have to see if it's going to be noticeable or not. Elemental Shaman gets a few buffs and changes. Electrified shocks will be 9 seconds instead of 6 seconds now, so a bit more time to do more damage on it. Ghost Wolf no longer removes the Shaman's Maelstrom bar while active, so it's also quite nice to actually know what is going on. Fix an issue, Fire and Ice do not increase the overload damage of multiple spells. Fix an issue causing problems with your search to incorrectly increase the damage of multiple overload spells. That's a huge nerf, because that was a bug, but now it's going to be doing a lot less damage. So good luck, Elemental Shamans. That are in the console now displays a monstrum resource on their personal resource display. Alright, and Enhancement Shaman got no changes, but in 10.1 you will get some good changes. So again, keep strong. Restoration Shaman, again, a big amount of change. So we have current control reduces the cooldown of healing tide totem by 30 seconds. We have Tide Turner doing more healing on healing tide totem and receives 15% more healing from you for 4 seconds. Resonating waters increases the duration of mana tide totem by 4 seconds, increases the radius by 20 yards. I think that's quite good for RPGs, but also good for raids and Mythic Plus, I guess. Not Mythic Plus because you only have one healer, but I guess in raids it's going to be quite nice. After using Mana Tide Totem, the cast time of Healing Wave and Chain Heal is reduced by 50%, and the mana cost of Healing Wave and Chain Heal are reduced by 50%. Again, I don't really know too much about Restoration Shaman, so I might say some stupid things, so excuse me if I am incorrect. All healing done increased by 8%. Nice. Acid Rain damage reduced by 20%. Why? Ancestral Awakening heals for 15 to 30% of the amount healed instead of 10 or to 20%. Maybe a crit build might be good. Might be. Earth and Harmony has been redesigned. Earth Shield reduces damage taken by 3 to 6%, and its healing increased by 50 to 100% on targets below 75%. I think that's a buff. It's going to be quite nice. Cloudburst healing no longer contributes to Ancestral Guidance. Ancestral Awakening and Ancestral Guidance now contribute to Cloudburst Totem healing, so there's no double dipping between them. Lightning Bolt damage has been increased by 35%, and Chain Lightning has been increased by 35%. That is because they removed the talent to actually increase 35% of those damage. So I think it's going to be quite nice to have it by baseline as well. You have Water Shield now, baseline, and learned at level 12. Quite nice as well. Flow of the Tides now grants an additional bounce of Chain Heal in addition to its current effect. Quite nice as well. Unleash Life now converts 40% of Wellspring Overheal into an Absorb Shield, and it was 25%. I don't know if it's going to be quite nice though, because nobody plays with Wellspring in PvP. Improved Primordial Wave increases the healing done by Healing Wave by 13%. 25%, and it was 8 to 15. That's actually a very good buff. With Nature Swiftness, you're going to always have some big heal with Healing Wave. Improved Earth Living Weapon increases the healing of Earth Living by a few percent, and always triggers on targets below 18 to 35%. So I guess that's a buff, but I don't know if it's going to be substantial. Fix an issue to double tip into healing reduction effects. Okay, Chain Heal's tooltip has been updated to increase its jump distance. Okay. Talent Tidebreaker has moved to Nature's Focus position as a 2-point talent. Ever Rising Tide, Nature's Focus, and Call of Thunder has been removed. Resurgence has been moved to the position of Water Shield. Acid Rain. So all of these are actually like not that important, I think. Those are like the changes, the connections and such. Now let's talk about the big piece. Again, whoa, that patch note is super big, but hopefully you are sticking with me. New talent, Sargate Technique, Shadow Bolt, Drain Soul, Incinerate increased by a lot, so that's actually very nice. Agony, Wild Imp, and Immolate damage also increased whenever you're taking those talents. Those are fun talents, man. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to make a 10.0.7 guide for Destruction and Affliction. So the talents are here. So Socrates Guile is basically going to deal damage on dots, and here is going to be dealing more damage on your direct damage abilities, like for example Incinerate and Shadow Bolt and such. This is going to be quite nice because those were like kind of dead talents because you had to take it to actually go beneath the talent tree. So this is going to be an overall big buff to Warlocks, man. I think Warlocks are going to be nasty. Hopefully Agony does some good damage, because I think I really want to play Affliction Warlock, man. I really want to play Affliction. I do miss Affliction Warlock. Just kind of sad how they deal damage right now. Increases the, so this has been redesigned, so increases the attack speed of your primary pet by 5%, increases Creamer of Sacrifice damage by 15%. I don't know how it's actually got redesigned. Basically, it was already like this, no? If I'm mistaken. Maybe not. I actually don't know, man. I actually don't know. I feel like it's the same. I think the wording is a bit different, but alright. Summon Soulkeeper damage increased by 100%. Can no longer be used if you have a Soulkeeper already active. I don't think it's going to be that important. It depends. We'll have to see. Nobody really played with a Summon Soulkeeper, man. I think Inquisitor's Gaze is going to be quite strong, though. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Because this Inquisitor's Gaze has been damage increased by 270%. I'm actually quite interested into the damage proportion of that talent. Lifeblood has moved to the Nightmare's privileged location. Accrued Vitality has moved to Disparate Packs privileged location. Just overall, I think that's a quite good buff towards class, like the Warlock class. It's going to be quite nice. I want to play Warlock again. I'm getting the itch again. Affliction Warlock. Let's see. There are a bit of changes here. So you have Dark Virtuosity increases Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul damage by 15 to 30%. Again, you're going to do more damage on Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul. I think it's going to be quite nice as well. Increases Malefic Rupture and Seed of Corruption damage by 8 to 15%. Again, Spenders going to do more damage, quite good. Dread Touch now also lasts for 8 seconds. Dread Touch, I think it's here, right? So people were playing with Doom Blossom. But Dread Touch is now going to last for a bit longer. I think the main problem what I'd see is actually that Doom Blossom is too good to not take. So whenever you're playing this build, you want to go for Doom Blossom, because if it's a cleave, you're going to cleave them pretty hard with it. So that's the main problem. Darkglare has been redesigned, so it will still extend the dot duration. It will serve you for 20 seconds, which is quite nice. And it will blast its target for shadow damage, increased by 25% for every damage over time effect you have active on the current target. So this is going to be very good for single target. Again, we want to have more single target abilities and possibilities. And this is going to make you a real threat at single target. I think it's going to be better for Affliction Warlocks in like general, and you have also ways to actually improve the damage, so I think it's going to be quite nasty, man. I think it's going to be quite nasty. Xavier Stitius has been removed and is now baseline, thank god. We have Harvester of Souls has been removed, thank god. Also a dumb talent that actually didn't really add anything to it. Rift Agony has been moved to role 3 and is now a 1-point talent. So now you have a lot more talents to spend. Excuse me. Have more talents to spend, so you can just basically just play like this. Of course, you're going to take Dark Virtuosity. I think you're also going to take Kindled Malice. You're always going to take Drain Soul, I think. You're still going to play with Inevitable Demise. You're also going to play with Focused Malignancy. You're going to play with Absolute Corruption, Soul Swap, Phantom Singularity, pretty much baseline. Creamer of Sacrifice, you also need that. I don't know if you're going to take Withering Bolt, but I think with all those modifiers, I think you should be always taking this, because you're going to do some sick damage with your Shadow Bolt. To be honest, you don't really need to take Drain Soul. You can also just skip that. You can also just skip this and then put those 2 points into, let's say, a Sacrolash Dark Strike, and then you can just not get locked by doing Drain Soul. I know Drain Soul does more damage, but if you can just have some big Nightfall procs with your Shadow Bolt, it's also doing some good damage as well. It could be very interesting to play around. So I would test that and let you guys know if it's going to be interesting to play around it. I'm going to do this, that, and then pretty much here you have like free reign. I will always play with this. I think that is probably the best way to go and to deal a lot of damage. But I think I'm going to always go for Summon Darkglare. I think Summon Darkglare is going to be quite interesting. And you could also play with Grand Walk's design, because you do use a lot of soul shards. But you can also do some AoE with Grim Reach. But what I can do is actually play with Malevolent Visionary and then go straight for Soul Rot and then Soul Eater's Gluttony, so I can have Soul Rot more often. And that build would be actually quite nice, I think. The main problem I can see is, again, our PvP talents are quite strict. You always have to play with rapid contagion and with rapid afflictions, and then you have like choice of either you want to play a bit more aggressive with Deathbolt, or you want to play with precog, because again they're going to precog anyways. I think precog is going to be the one that you're going to play all the time, or you might maybe play with something interesting like fucking casting circle. Again, depends on how you want to play the game. So great changes. We have demonology also, immutable hatred. It's going to be a long video, guys, but again, there is too much to talk about. When your primary Felguard's Legion strike damage only one target, its damage is going to be increased by 120%. So in arenas, whenever there's no cleave and you're playing to kill the casters, because this is more of a caster matchup talent, you're going to do some sick amount of damage with your Felguard. It's going to be actually very, very strong. And your primary deals physical damage after auto-attacking the same enemy 3 consecutive times. So it's going to be quite nice. I'm going to let you know where it is. So demonology, I think it is there. So basically you're going to do 120% more damage, and it deals physical damage after auto-attacking the same enemy 3 consecutive times. So it's going to be quite nasty, man. I think it's going to be quite fun to play around this build. We have Umbral Braze. Hand of Gul'dan has a 8 to 15% chance to burn its target for additional Shadow Flame damage every 2 seconds. It depends on the amount of damage it actually does. I think it's this one. It does 48% of spell power times 1, 2 seconds. So you have to do times 3. It's only going to do 150% more or less spell power if it burns. I think 15% is quite low. I think it could be 25%. It could be still not that good, but I think it's going to be difficult to take it and to make it work into the actual talents. You have Reign of Tyranny now increases the damage of demonic tyrants by 50% in addition to its original effect. I think Demonology Warlock will be busted. I'm going to make a tier list for tomorrow, but it is going to be busted, guys. This is going to be too strong. I think it's going to get nerfed regardless, but this is too strong. 50% additional damage at all times, and every time you're going to get a stack of demonic servitude, you will get 7% more additional damage on your demonic tyrant, and that is going to be the same as what we had before. This is going to make demonic tyrants actually crit for 100k easily. So I'm really surprised at this change. I think it's normal because you want to do more damage with the tyrants, but this is too much. This is too strong. I think this is basically like because of PvE. I think. Pact of the Imp modern now has a 8 to 15% chance to cast Hand of Gul'dan a second time. I think that's quite nice. I think more percent is better. I think this was too low. Guillotine damage increased by 200%, now lasts 6 seconds. It might be an interesting thing for AoE damage. I don't know if it's going to be good in PvP, but I might just test it out. We have Stolen Power now triggers after 75 application was 100. And House of War has been removed. I think this is quite nice, but it's not like controllable, because you will always do Shadow Balls and you want to actually use it on Demon Balls. So I think it's not that good of a talent for PvP. Destruction now, Burn to Ashes now stacks up to 6 times. It is a buff, but to be honest, if you have 4 stacks, it is very difficult to actually use all those stacks. And now let's talk about PvP. PvP. So there is one big change, and again we have timestamps, so don't worry, you can skip out, but this is going to be great. I'm going to talk first and foremost about the rewards. So end of season PvP rewards will no longer be tied to a specific faction. That's actually very good. Additionally, the end of season title will no longer require a specific number of games played on your faction, but instead it will be that number of games played within the season. So you will have to need 150 games played in Dragonflight Season 1, and it will end at 0.1% of the ladder to earn the title. This is for the title, not for Glad, but for Crimson Lake Gladiator. So I think that's a good change, I guess. You want people to play, and that will make people play. The duration of Soul Shuffle no-show liver penalty can now be increased by if any character on your account leaves the game. So frankly, I do not know what the meaning is about this, but I guess it's good. Players can now queue for Socialful while queued for other rated PvP modes or participating in Creep Finder. That was a change that I really wanted since the end of times. I talk about it multiple times on live stream, multiple times on my videos. I wanted to be able to queue Socialful while I'm actually playing twos or threes, or while I'm actually in Group Finder. So now there is no reason to just stay and do nothing. You can basically find a group and try to do twos and threes, and while you're doing twos or threes, you can wait for solo shuffle and play solo shuffle whenever you can. And that will actually help the queue times for DPS players. I think it's going to be fantastic. I can actually not wait to play and live stream this. It's next week. It's a bit of a shame that I have to wait that many days, but it's going to be very fun to play around it. Very excited, very excited. So, classes, Demon Hunter, Reverse Magic, PvP talent now triggers backlash effects from dispelled debuffs. Well, Demon Hunters are not going to counter Affliction Warlocks anymore, which is a good thing. I really like it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know it's going to be frustrating for the Demon Hunter, but it's going to be very good for Affliction Warlocks and Shadow Priests. Druid, Restoration, Druid, Tranquility, healing is now increased by 100% while in arena combat with 5 or less allied players. I think it's going to be a lot better. And now your Keeper of the Grove will basically improve 20% healing of Tranquility. So it's basically will not change too much, but you don't need to have Keeper of the Grove to be able to heal for a lot. So I think for RPGs it's going to be quite nice as well. Preservation, Evoker, Rewind, healing is now increased by 100%. Cool. Cool. I guess it's cool. Chrono Loop cooldown has been reduced to 1 minute and can no longer reduce an enemy below 20% health, which is quite nice as well because it's very annoying to get Chrono Loops. Beast Mastery, big nerf, by the way. I will have to make a guide, not a guide, but like a talent build with that, maybe Piercing Fangs. Or maybe I will just play with Piercing Fangs because there's not a lot of options. So I will have to test it out and see for myself if it's going to be worth it to play it with or not. I think it will still be worth it, but I think it's a substantial nerf in general. Mistweavers, Revival and Restore is going to heal for 100% at all times, always. Enveloping Mist now heals for an additional 20% in PvP combat. Again, very strong, but it's actually counterbalancing with the PvE changes. And Healing Sphere spell visual has been updated to be more noticeable. It's going to help Mistweavers to actually use Healing Sphere and not be ignored by their allies. Divine Protection no longer reduces damage by an additional 10%, so that's a nerf, but it actually counterbalances with the PvE changes. Flash of Light no longer deals increased healing in PvP combat for protection paladins, and Unbound Freedom has been removed and actually moved to the class tree. Flash of Light no longer, so those are like all the changes. Like it's a big nerf overall. So, but overall, don't worry, it's a buff. The PvE changes are going to be better than the PvP changes that you see right now, so it's going to be overall better for the game. Unbound Freedom has been removed and Law and Order has been removed, so overall we will have to see which builds we're going to play with our Retribution Paladin, but I'm going to main one in 10.0.7. It's going to be Glorious. Priest, Shadow Word Death and Purge the Wicked now have a spell highlight whenever Catharsis is above 80% of its maximum stored damage. Very nice and very helpful because then you don't have a weak aura needed to actually track that. Very good. Divine Healing is now healing is now increased by 100% whenever you are in arena combat, which is also very good as well. You have Tidebringer PvP talents that is going to be removed and actually moved to the class tree. We have Restoration, Shaman, Healing Tide Totem. Healing is now increased by 100% while in arena combat. And you have Living Tide reducing the cooldown of Healing Tide Totem by 60 seconds. So it's going to be 1 minute instead of 1.5 minutes reduced. And it heals for 25% more each time it pulses. And it was 100%. So it's overall going to be a lot better for Restoration Shaman. Now we'll have to see if it's going to be a lot better or if it's going to be a lot smoother. I think the smoothness is going to be better, but I don't know if it's going to be just a buff or a nerf. I have to test it around. I think Sidu and like Afstorage did say that it is a nerf, but we will have to see if it is really a nerf in reality. So those are the changes for like the patch note. I think it's a pretty big patch, 10.7. You have a lot of class changes, a lot of spec changes, and I think I'm very excited to test those things going live. I didn't want to do too much PTR because I like to not spoil myself, but I'm very excited, like, just in general, to play the game. So again, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we will catch each other very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye. It's a long video, huh? A long video. I'm very sorry, but bye.